Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Friends of Mortgage Heroes, where we talk to our friends in and around mortgage and real estate. I'm Andy.
And I'm Will.
And
I'm Miguel.
This is our friend, Miguel Contreras. So, Miguel, we've been friends for a long time in business, but you and Memo have actually known each other longer than that.
Yes.
I think even before business. We'll get into all that. But, Miguel, welcome to Friends of Mortgage Heroes.
Yeah, I've known Miguel since he's actually was a new kid on the block, and now we're getting a little younger. So here he is again. As you guys can see, this handsome fella.
Wait, are you making a 90s reference?
Yeah,
like a literal new kid?
We go way back.
Okay, I got a story for you on that one, on New Kids on the Block. So my senior year in high school, we had, do you remember, it's called Airband. Remember Airband?
Yes.
You guys always took it, but Nita Vista, you guys killed it. But there was competition. So I went to Hilltop, and at my high school, me and my boys won, and we did this whole like a mashup of Digital Underground.
Yeah. My name is Humpty.
Yes.
Pronounced with the Humpty, but okay.
And New Kids on the Block. So we did I forgot what song we did. We did two.
Is it the bye 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 or something
No,
like that? No?
Before that. Way
before that.
Wow.
So we did New Kids on the Block. It was Hanging Tough and Please Don't Go Girl
Yeah.
was the closer.
So there's an actual story. Okay.
So yes, and I was Joe McIntyre.
Whoa.
Okay. So to set
You have the looks.
So to set the context
you,
here, how you guys have known each other longer than you and I. You and I've known each other a long time. But when is it you guys estimate you actually first met?
It's got to be, Andy, it's high school days.
Yeah, I would say 1990.
Yeah, like 89, 90. Yes.
Oh, jeez.
We would always meet
Wow.
up at the clubs in TJ because we're here
Yeah,
by the border. And so
I was a little underaged for that, but yeah.
weren't we all? But what's cool is I would see him and I would try to avoid it because obviously when you go to these clubs, you're trying to pick up on a girlfriend or whatever. But if Miguel's right there, they would just
hold
come
on.
to him. So I had to leave that club because there was no chance for me.
Man, this guy was
Like there was just no chance,
Okay.
Andy. So I had to go elsewhere,
He
right?
was the
Yeah.
smoothest, but always the nicest gentleman ever.
So
Always.
89, 90?
Somewhere
Yes.
around there. Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Maybe
That's why
91.
I'm so excited to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us here in Mortgage Heroes. Because I know what we grew up with,
Yeah.
and I know what we didn't have. And a lot of people, I'm sure you get the same thing, like, Miguel, how are you doing it? How they see that you're successful, our old friends or whatever, and they're just like, what the hell's going on? Like, how are you doing it?
Yeah.
And it all comes with sacrifice. So
Absolutely.
I'm just so excited to have you here, bro. And I'm
happy
getting
to be
the
here.
chills just thinking about it because, bro, I admire you for so many reasons. You're a family man, you're an entrepreneur, you're always doing what's best for your clients. And I mean, those things just in itself is what creates that success that that you have behind you. So
Yeah.
we're just here to anxious to figure out
Making me
how did
blush.
you get there, right? Mo? But that's
Well,
the truth.
Something, and I'm glad you mentioned that because something I want to bring up right at the top, and I'm glad this is a perfect segue because you recently gave a presentation I was listening to, and in the presentation you were saying like, that's our job as agents. We're supposed to do this, and I was like, not all agents do that, and you're being humble in the moment, but the truth is, when it comes down to it, becoming licensed doesn't equal being ethical. It doesn't always equal taking the moral high ground.
Yeah.
And that is something that I know that you have a reputation for around town and among all the business people you work with. And so for me, having you come to the show, knowing you guys have known each other a long time, like twice as long as I've known you, is cool because I want to talk about some of those things today.
Sure.
And you guys come from, I say, a similar-ish background,
Right.
And have come to this place in business where there's now decades of experience.
Yeah.
There has been moments where where you have taken the moral high ground, where maybe there was another choice.
Yeah.
And something I want everyone to know at the top of the show is like, yes, it is expected that realtors do that all the time, but sometimes they don't. But that's exactly what you get with Miguel every time.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to commend you like right up the top and let you know that. And I'm glad that I was able to kind of say that from the side in the presentation. Like not everybody does that, but Miguel does.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
kudos to you. So first of all, let's tell everyone, okay, who are you with? What are you doing? What's your core competency? And then we're going to kind of stretch from there.
Yeah.
How much time do we have? No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
We have all
I
day.
love it.
No, Miguel Contreras. I'm a founder of Rain West Collective. We're a small boutique shop. We take pride in being a boutique shop because we can really curate the experience for our clients and take a different approach because we're firm believers that the old model, the old way of doing things in real estate is dead. I think that the public at large is really less trusting of big corporations, big entities. We're more tribal, and granted, that word tribal has been
like
used a lot more lately with the negative
I've been
connotation.
diluted a little bit too.
Yeah, like with negative connotation, but I mean tribal. We're looking more, and maybe the tribal aspect that I'm seeking to describe is more. We're more into community, so
Yeah.
we're driven to find spaces and groups of people that we resonate with, that really improve and enhance our lives and that we can contribute to. And that's why we're a boutique shop, because we're really proud of really serving the community at large, giving advice and advocating for our clients with the right thing in mind. And sometimes the right thing to do is often the hardest thing to do, but you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do that when you're a smaller shop, I believe, because the accountability that goes into being a standalone shop like that is much higher.
Yeah.
It's easier to hide behind the walls of a big corporate
Sure.
entity.
Well,
Yeah.
and I know that some people might be hearing the word boutique and go, "Oh, that's just a fancy way of saying small."
Right.
But you're also kind of like scratching the surface of what that means, because you're actually giving like highly customized service. So
Right.
go down that road just a
Well,
little bit more and kind of
let me-
inform
let-
everybody
let
what
me
you
f-
mean by that.
I'll frame it like this because I'm a short guy too, so it goes personally too. So
No, we're all the same size on camera.
Yeah.
Right, on camera
What are you
we're all
talking
the same
Yeah.
size, but in real life I'm a fairly short guy. But I'll tell you this: a small or short and playing big are not mutually exclusive. You could be small but play big.
I like that.
And that, if you have the will, the desire, the energy, and the drive to go big and play big and go big for your clients, you're gonna do it, irrespective of the size of your building, the size of your company, whatever.
There's the name on the door, all that stuff. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, in real estate, and you know this, you guys
Yeah.
know this, in real estate, the brand is the agent. So
Yeah.
you could be an agent at a 200 agent shop, and the clients really don't care about
Yeah.
the other 200 agents. They care about you. What kind of service are you going to give? Now, we double down on that by saying, hey, look, we are a boutique shop, and, we're smaller, but you know who we are. You know what we're all about. You see us, you see my whole team. You get to know my whole team when you deal with me.
Yeah.
Or any of our agents. You get to know everybody on the team.
You know what? When you're saying the smaller boutique and you're saying the tribal thing, the community, what really triggered me right away was I thought about Jerry Maguire. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
Show
like
me the
Jerry
money.
Maguire. That's right. But he was not about show me the money, right?
Right.
He was about, he wanted to build a community. He wanted to hug his clients.
Yes. Yeah.
He wanted to be seen different, right?
Absolutely.
He just wanted people to see, even their families.
Yeah.
He wanted them to see him like, this guy does have best interest in mind for my dad, for whoever it was, right? And so
Exactly.
I just love that. It was just, for me, if you guys haven't watched Jerry Maguire, you got to watch that. Great
watch that
movie.
one.
Still like an oldie but goodie, but really good message.
And one of the things that I was thinking of when you were saying that is that scene where he's in the big agency and he gets the fish out and he puts the fish in the
Who's
bag.
coming
and
with me?
He's holding the fish and who's coming with me? Like, anybody. Is anybody going to come with me? And like everyone's just silent looking at him in this really uncomfortable moment. One person goes with him, and because they believed in this vision of what he was going to go and do, and kind of like let's say disrupt the industry, if you will, but be closer and connected to the clients and be more interpersonally related to them, and have a quality relationship that then had success at the end of that. So that's a really great analogy.
And you know, too, I'm glad you brought up Jerry Maguire. I mean, that was not even on my radar today. But if you recall that film, in the beginning of the film, he has a breakdown.
Yes.
Right. He has a mental breakdown because he's unhappy with the way things are being done. And I'm a firm believer that if someone tells you, we do this because this is the way it's always done, that is the most dangerous phrase that you could have in an office culture, in an industry. So Jerry Maguire wrote this manifesto of, hey, this is what's important, and boom, and he bullet pointed it, boom, 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 boom. But it was so paradigmally shifting to that culture of that office that they were like, you're freaking crazy. No way. And sometimes you have to stand alone and be a small shop to really deliver on the principles that you believe in.
Well, and I think you've cracked the code in a certain way. I don't want to overuse that term, but I think you've cracked the code in a sense that there's also a customer and consumer base that wants that.
Yes.
I want that like having a tailor. Like you can go to the suit store and buy a suit, or you can go to the tailor and have them tailor your clothes for you, customized fit. Like I think there's value to that. And honestly, ironically enough, which is funny about that is people look at that tailor service and go, oh, what a luxury experience. That's different than just going to the Men's Warehouse and getting a coat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, the crazy thing about that is the herd always follows a herd, right? There's always this one person. And at that point in time with Jerry or yourself with your boutique, you kind of just got to take try this new way or tactic to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Right. And so what's crazy about it is who's going to go with me. You have a couple of people that are following your vision, and they're excited about it. I mean, your turnover is not like they're there for a couple of months and then that's it, right?
Multiple years with me,
right?
Together, and not with me. I would say together. You know,
exactly.
Multiple years together.
No, I remember at Dominion West, you were there. They all follow you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's like, I feel like your team is that fish that just went in there, is just going with you. So when we're talking about following the herd, you know, talking about earlier how I know who you are and where we come from, we decided not to go with the herd.
Right.
Right? We decided to go a different way, and now the herd is curious to what you're doing.
Right. I had a question for you. Do you think that the reason you and I are like that, and I know Andy's like that too, but since we've known each other for so long, do you think, and I just got me thinking about that, because do you think that it may be the way, where we grew up, with the circumstances around how and where we grew up, with the crowd, the not so positive people, that something, at least I know for me, I know for you too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know the quality of guy that you are. There was this little nugget, this little grain inside of me that's like, I'm not really supposed to be doing that over there. I'm supposed to be going that way. But the force, the magnetism, of that group was like, you're gonna come, you're gonna come. But I was like, there was a resistance, a good resistance on my part. And I naturally gravitated to go on the opposite. Yeah. Very contrarian, right?
Yeah, no.
Do you think it has something to do with that?
You know what? Absolutely. I also contribute a lot to my wife. Been together 26 years. Yeah. I know you're happily married with your children. Beautiful family, bro. So I think even though we're kind of going in that direction, we already know subconsciously we shouldn't do that. We're better than that. Right? Exactly. And then we have the other people that just motivate us even more. Yeah. Right. And I grew up without a dad. And so I'm like, I'll never do what my dad did for me. Right. Or my mom, I will never treat how I saw other people treat my mom. Right. And so I'm just like, bro, I just got to do things differently. Yeah. And that's what we've done. And nowadays it's like, bro, life is so damn good. It's good. It's a blessing. Right. We were just talking about that right before the show.
Life is good.
You know, so would you say because of everything that you've gone through, that's what creates your success?
The challenges, the obstacles, the failures. Man, in the moment you hate them.
They're so good for you, though. They're so good for you.
I still hate them.
You look at your bank account, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. Or, you lose a couple deals, or stuff doesn't pan out. You open a business, it fails. Or those failures, though, if you really lean into them, you really have a lot of knowledge to take away. Yeah. Failures are it's a big part of our success, I think. And you know who taught me that? My wife. She was the one, man. And word to the wise, gentlemen, choose wisely. You've been married multiple years, decades.
21?
Decades,
21.
19 years married. Choose wisely. The woman who chooses you and you choose her, man, she will only uplift her life. Wow. She taught me. I had a hard time with that.
But Beto's a killer in business too.
She is. Oh, she's
stellar. Huh?
She's way smarter than I am.
No, I didn't. Yeah. No, you guys are compliments in a lot of ways. But I'm saying you have your own path. You're killing it. She's also killing it.
No. But she's been my how can I put it? She's been a compass for me. She's been a regulator and a motivator at times, even when I'm down. And for us gentlemen, it's really hard for us to show that vulnerability. Like, oh man, I can't be weak.
Don't get me emotional here right now, okay, Miguel?
I know. And I remember I had a few failures in the beginning of our relationship, financial stuff. Obviously 2008.
Everyone lost everything. Yay! Here we go.
And I had a big fear of just really exposing that big failure, and forget the failure, the fear that I was feeling. That I was like, man, I can't let her know that I'm scared. I can't let her know that I'm doubtful. Like, I've got all these doubts. And somewhere along the line, I just says, screw it. Like, I kind of threw up on her, pretty much. And man, she responded the complete opposite of how I thought she was going to respond.
That's awesome.
I thought she was going to reject me. I thought she was going to think I was a weakling. She's like, no, Miguel, you're a badass.
Dude.
Man. You're a freaking badass. Lean into it. This is a failure. It's just a setback. Learn from it. Boom. So thank you to my wife. Vero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and those are successes, right? Everybody sees us and like they think like here we're talking, everything's perfect. There is no such thing.
No.
I'm sure you got everything already figured out in life, right? You got it all figured out.
Man,
Right.
I'm like, I need 100 more years.
Right.
I need 100.
Here's a funny thing. So I went to go get a medical exam. You know, you do your and one of the things was like, you're really stressed, huh? And I'm like, I don't know what that feels like, right? Because just like you mentioned, like you go through these failures, you go through these ups and downs, peaks and valleys in your life and everything, but you don't feel that stress. Like, I don't know. Do you know what stress is? Like, I don't understand it, I guess.
Yeah, stress. I know a little bit about stress.
Okay.
Stress can. This is why I've always looked up to him. Since I met him, I've always looked
Stress?
up to him.
What's stress?
He's like, come on, bro, you got this.
Yeah.
He's always been like the best motivator, man.
But there's
Damn.
something to be said about like going through the school of hard knocks. Like that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
That's not just some like nomenclature. That's not some fun thing you say on the internet for like clicks and memes. It's like you go through hard times, it builds resilience, and then the things that might stress people out, well, they don't stress you out.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I really did seek perfection. I was chasing perfection when I was younger.
I could see that.
Yeah, I was chasing perfection, and though I've always had a semblance, or at least recognition of who I am at the essential level in the human aspect. I think I cared a little bit too much about what people thought about me when I was younger. And that was a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, I just realized that that perfection is unattainable, and really what I seek now is progress and curiosity. I think that alleviates a lot of my stress. I mean, we all have stress. We all deal with it differently. I think that where you're getting at, William, is that you don't make. When you experience stress, you just don't make it bigger than what it is.
There you go.
Right? I think you take a very Marcus Aurelius angle, a Stoic angle, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I see this in you, and this is what I love about you. Is like, hey man, this is just a little bit of stress. It's gonna go away on its own, man. I don't have control over it. So I think you've always been really clear about what you can and cannot control.
Yeah.
That diminishes stress so
Yeah.
much.
You know what's crazy
I see
is
that in you too. Hold on, I don't want you to go too far because there's something to say about that. And these people don't know off camera. There are things that blindside us as a business. There's things that blindside you in an escrow, blindside you in a deal.
Oh, big time.
And he's like, okay, here's the problem. What do we got to do to make a solution? And it's like right away. It's not, I'm going to go cry in the corner for a minute, and then I'm going to go to lunch, and then I'm going to go home and sulk, and then I'm going to shower, and then I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to cry some more, and then I'm going to get around to figuring it out. You go right to figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about you, number one, personally, but number two, that comes with experience that both of you guys have, because I know you're like that too.
Yeah, I think
you don't spend time there. You don't hang out.
Now, I think one of the things we have is we're very solution driven, right? And one of the 7 cardinal rules in life, I actually have the same thing as Miguel, right? And one of my things is what people think about me is none of my business.
Yeah.
Right? Because I apply myself, my personal self and my business personally. It's just what I do. Yeah. It's not that I'm trying to please the person. Right. I'm just putting my heart into it. Yeah. And when people can't appreciate that, I'm like, whoa. What did I do wrong? What can I do better? And I think that's the things that we apply in our business that make us successful and put us where we're currently at. Miguel, would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
So that's how I see you. Because when I talk to you, you tell me like, oh, hey, Will, I was referred to you by Miguel. And, and I tell him like, I'm transparent with them. Like, no, when Miguel says you come over here, I'm going to trust Miguel. I know you put your heart into it.
Oh, big time. Big
when
time.
people say that they trust you, that is because they've dealt with you, not just a couple of times. You've won their heart over where they're going to put their trust into whoever you recommend. Mm-hmm. And that's why people like yourself and me, we're not easy to reverse people just like that. No. We kind of like think like, okay, who am I going to put them in contact that I know is going to
love on them, take care of them, love on them. You know what I mean? Trust. Let's talk about trust because
Please.
Check this out. So, and I'll get back to the whole like solving problems and trust too, but you just triggered me really quick in a positive way. So trust, and I train my team in this aspect, in this mindset, and we have this mindset. In our business, you know, it's either your transaction is a mortgage or a property sale.
Yeah.
And I tell my team, no, that's not the transaction. There's actually, it's not even the first transaction. That's the second transaction. The first transaction is the exchange of trust. And trust is not anything you can buy and you can't give it away. You have to earn it. So you have to earn the trust. So we're transacting in trust. And the way that we can exchange trust is by contributing, by advocating, by caring, by asking phenomenal questions and getting to know people at the root level.
Yeah.
Man, these are your dreams, these are your fears, these are your aspirations. And that's what gives us the power to say, you know what? Everything you told me, this decision that you're making to buy this $1.5 million house, it's not a good decision for you.
Yeah.
Be happy to sell it to you, but I can't consciously sell it to you without first going back to the goals and dreams that you told me that you had.
Wow.
So you found that there's situations like that run counter to what they've also said, I'm looking for, aspiring for, and then this is a conflict with that.
Absolutely. And I mean, we lose deals that way, but we're in this thing for the long haul, man. So
well,
it's like,
okay,
that's awesome.
Well, pit stop there. Like, let's talk about, you've had clients for like, how long? 10 years? 15 years now? Like, you've had people...
20 years, people.
That's my point.
It's I love them. I call them as regularly as I can. I try to connect with them and just, meet person to person and just on a human level, because my clients, your clients too, they become your people, man.
Well, I was supposed to say, friends. Like, this guy's making birthday calls like every week. He's calling people, it's their birthday, happy birthday. You hear him I'm like, dude, I'm trying to focus in my office. I can't even hear you screaming, the kazoo's going off. Just kidding. Actually,
kazoos, I want to call.
I'm teasing you, but it's actually really funny. I'm like, this guy over here. But it goes back to that relational part. You're talking about, like, I treat my people like family, and we, you and I are family through marriage. But it is that part where you do 10 years, 15, 20 years with somebody, like you know them, you know them, not like, oh yeah, they're just that person. Their name's in my phone. Like, no, I know you. I know what you like. I know where you hang out. You know where I hang out. We've had conversations, and that depth leads to making easier decisions later.
Absolutely.
And then being able to confront, hey, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. That's a terrible choice. And here's why it's a terrible choice, because you've also told me this, and you've also wanted that, and I'm your guide, and you shouldn't do that.
And my hope is that my tribe, my people, you guys are part of my tribe, right?
How many people are in your tribe?
Shoot, man.
What's your team look like now?
Oh, my team, we're five of us.
Okay, you're still the Fantastic Five.
The Fantastic Five.
That's awesome.
Or the Furious Five.
The Furious Five, whatever you want to take, whatever your favorite movie is. Huh?
Exactly. But my sole drive is that they trust me enough to tell me too when I'm full of it. Like, hey, Miguel.
I like that.
Dude, you're messing up, man.
So when someone's telling you that, and they're saying it from a place of love and care, but also, let's say, maybe constructive criticism, how did you come to a place where you're willing to hear that and take that advice?
It took a while.
Because I'm saying it's not easy for me to hear. I'm saying that from a place of knowing, hey, that's not easy. So tell us, how did that progress for you?
It took a while, and I think where I shifted in my mindset with that was, wait a minute, this is feedback I'm getting that can help me grow, and if I'm really buying into chasing progress, then I need to grow on a daily. Mm-hmm. So if I'm getting constructive criticism, I don't focus on the criticism part. I focus on the constructive. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, cool. Like, where can I get better? Mm-hmm. How can I make this smoother? And how can I not, ram my head against the wall so many times?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I now I take it from that perspective. Like, hey, let's chat and let me slow it down.
How much of that do you think comes with age versus just like business experience, getting your head knocked around a couple times? Like, I mean, what would you attribute that to? Because I also know that they don't. Is you practice martial arts. Yes. You're very disciplined in reading and learning all the time. Yes. So there's a variety of things that I know are constantly teaching you and you're getting input from. Yeah. So what would you attribute that ability to do that for?
So I'm sorry, I'm gonna go in there, Andy. So what are you saying? Like, he's martial arts. So if they don't like something, he's gonna just karate them?
No, I'm saying
put him in a headlock.
No, there's other facets. There's other facets of life life where the lesson you're learning is translatable to something else,
big
right?
time, big time.
And so, when you're getting choked on a mat, you're like, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this. How do I get out of this? And how do I inflict pain on the other guy?
Yeah, I think, a lot of this comes with age. So how's the saying? Why is youth wasted on the young or something? to
I
that
don't know.
effect?
I'm not there yet.
Something. That's old farts.
Yeah.
Stuff.
You guys said something about 1989 earlier. I'm like, I think I was 10. That's all.
No, I wasn't 10. I was a little
I was
older.
10.
No, we were already up there. We're already having a drink on you, Andy.
No. I was at the
Not
Little League
legally yet
field.
drinking, but no, but it does come with age. If you're doing the right things, if you're doing the right practice, and you're taking the right actions, just through the passage of time, I think that that a lot of this, to most people, it comes, and you get a certain wisdom. I think experience gives you wisdom. But I also am a firm believer that you can get wisdom at any age. Hence why I like to read so damn much. There's so much knowledge to be had.
Yes.
And the thing is, the more I read, the more I learn. I'm like, the more I realize I don't know. I'm like, oh my God, man, I need to read another book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it comes with that. It comes with different practices. It comes with different challenges. I've always dabbled. I'm very curious about challenging myself in different facets. I've done triathlon.
Yeah.
I've
Wow.
done CrossFit. I've competed in Olympic weightlifting. And now
Capoeira, jiu-jitsu. Like,
like even doing some like capoeira. I used to play capoeira when I was in my 20s. Even getting a handstand and figuring that out and not getting frustrated and not being, so focused on why don't I have my damn handstand yet.
Yeah.
And now with jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu is like, wow, man, it's like physical chess. But also what I've learned with jiu-jitsu is that there's a certain calmness that you can harness in a bad position. And the calmer you could be in a bad position in discomfort, the smoother your transitions out, your escapes, and that translates so much into business,
Wow.
into life. And I've been in situations where I've gotten in an argument with someone like, "Oh, let me slow it down." Like,
yeah.
and then I could do verbal jujitsu, like, "Oh, let me."
Yeah.
Right. Verbal, you like that? Verbal jujitsu.
Verbal armbar incoming.
So you literally kick ass, not just in your personal world, but in your business world.
Yeah.
And it's so true. One of the things as we were growing up, we didn't learn to listen.
No.
That wasn't part of our vocabulary there.
No.
As we've gotten older, I'm with you. We're getting older. The older, the wiser. We're understanding, these phrases,
Yes.
as you will. One of the key things that I've learned recently, very recently, I'm not a big reader, but I do audiobooks, and I like to that's how I get. I go to the gym and I listen. And I'm always, a student of whatever I want to learn. I always say to myself, I'm an old dog that likes to learn new tricks.
That's great.
You know what I mean? And so one of the phrases that really changed my mindset recently was change is the key to a new life.
Big time.
When I heard it, and it was on the Netflix, I don't forget what the show was, but it was, a Japanese show. And when they said that, I used to look at change was just like, dang, here I go again. I have to renew everything that I'm doing. It's kind of like getting that iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. That change is like not something I want to do. But now if you think about it differently, it will make that life a much easier, much enjoyable, if you will, right? It's how you really perceive things.
Yeah.
I like to go in the next segue into something else here. So I already know you have a bunch of superpowers. But if I had to ask you right now, Miguel, what is your superpower? What would you say?
That's a good question. I would say my superpower.
Yeah. What makes you like?
It's twofold.
Okay.
There's like a 1A and 1B. One of them is storytelling.
Nice.
I'm a raconteur, man. I love telling stories.
Well, tell us a story.
That's
tell us,
100%
please.
accurate. That's 100%, dude.
Yeah.
I have a second one, but I want to hear what you say.
I love stories just because, we're just, as humans, we're wired for story, man. When humans didn't know how to write, they told stories. they told stories to survive, because that's the way they taught each other in the tribes. Hey man, don't go up that mountain, there's 100 snakes over there, right? So but the beauty of it is that our ancestors used metaphor and like this very, very colorful language to describe a lesson, and we've gotten away from that, but we're still wired for story, and I love retelling stories. I have a actual physical notebook, and I have on my app on my phone, where I track stuff that happens to me, and I'm like, oh, that'd be a good story to tell somewhere. I don't know. I'll eventually use it. I bank stories, so
you're very good at that, and you've used those in a lot of presentations I've seen you make. Yeah. You pull those parables or stories, and you have metaphors and how they can apply to the audience.
Absolutely.
And it's always brilliant. So
it's just more fun to receive it in a story than
and relatable.
You should do blah blah blah. You know, tell them.
Yeah, I'm a tech guy. I'm like, this is part 1, part 2, part 3.
No, he's a phenomenal storyteller. So now I would say that the second part of that, I think my enthusiasm is something that I harness. I guard it, but I like to share it with the world. And when I step into a room and I feel a good vibe, like we're feeling right now, I get very enthusiastic, and my energy is like, whoa, and I'm gonna bring up the room with me.
Let's go.
Like, let's go. Let's go. Everyone get happy.
Yeah.
Like, So that's my other superpower.
That's awesome.
So I have one I want to contribute to for consideration, and I know this about you from witnessing you do business, doing business together, is you are a really good negotiator.
Oh, thank you, man.
I have seen you negotiate situations where things may be unfavorable for somebody, and then you make it favorable for everybody. Yeah. And that's a hard thing to do, because there's sometimes a situation can be extremely lopsided in one direction. Yeah. But then that actually, through your skill set and your gift, I'll say, translates into everyone getting something that they actually still do want, and it's not like a loss for everybody. So I would contribute that as something else I know I've witnessed from the sidelines and in the arena too, where you've done that pretty masterfully.
Well, I learned this. I have a mentor. His name's Roberto Monaco. He was
Roberto.
You know Roberto
I haven't talked to Roberto in years.
I love Roberto.
Oh man,
he's a mentor of mine, and one of his seminars, workshops. He talked about forget win-wins. He's a win-win-win, a triple win. I'm like, what the hell, man? This guy's like 3-peat. What are you talking about? Super Bowls? Win-win-win. He's like, no, man, Miguel, you win, they win, the community wins. Like,
gotcha.
Loved it. So
that's awesome.
That stuck with me. So create a triple win.
Well,
I like that.
Thanks for letting me toss that one out there. I think that one maybe doesn't qualify as much as a storytelling does, but
part
I
of
think
my story.
It's in there.
You.
Oh, that's the community win. He had one, and I threw one in there.
Yeah.
There you go. Bam.
That's pretty awesome, man. So how long have you been in this industry now as a real estate agent?
20 years, yeah.
20 years.
A little bit over 20 years. Licensed for 20, and in the business for almost 21 years. So.
Wow. What got you into the industry?
Insanity. No, just
I know. Well, no one. That's great. No one goes to school for this.
No,
right?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, how'd you become an escrow officer? Oh, I don't know. I was just I needed a job.
Just like me, they asked me like, what got you into the lending? It was default.
Yeah.
It was just out of default. You know? It wasn't like I grew up wanting to be a loan officer. Right. I wanted to be a police officer or fireman. You know, like that's what the thing. And they didn't take me.
Well,
so.
I know you had a pivot moment when that it was when your neighbor across the street had all this furniture coming out, right? And you're like, hey, what are you doing? You're pulling.
Well, that was a real estate appraising.
Well, yeah, I know. When you were in real estate appraising, that turned into lending. I'm sharing this without telling you, but you've told this story for years. Like I was like, those people were onto something. There's tens of thousands of dollars of furniture coming out of that truck right there. What are y'all doing
it? We're like broke right here. What's going on? So, your neighbors were pretty wealthy that made you, and they were realtors.
There you go. Well, here's a story for you.
Yeah.
The root of me getting into real estate. I was really young. I was maybe. I wasn't doing business when I was 10 years old, but but I was 10 years old, and we were living in Villanueva.
Okay.
The projects. In San Isidro, the hood. Wow. The projects.
See, I didn't know you lived there. I lived across the street from you in Vista Terrace.
Vista Terrace. Boom. See, we're from the same.
That's where we went driving that one day.
Yes,
that's right. So the old neighborhood.
So I mean, that was rough.
I know.
Vista Terrace and Villanueva.
It's low income, bro.
Yeah, super low income.
We were ready to go get the cheese and all that stuff. Like that's where we were at. I mean, I grew up with just my mom, and I remember waiting in line to get the milk came in powder.
Yeah.
You just had to add water, and you had to stir that thing, and you had that yellow block cheese.
Exactly, man.
Exactly.
So so it was pretty rough, and I remember even being a small kid, second grade, third grade, just bullies and just fighting and like gangs and just weird stuff that was going on. And I remember my mother and my father discussing at night. They were in their bedroom, but I can hear them, and they would fight and argue about like having to move.
Yeah.
And my mother was just completely driven, like, we have to get our kids
Whoa.
out of this freaking place somehow. So she devised the plan. Kudos to my mom, man. She's
Nice.
5'0", man. She's a fighter, man. I love her to death.
Love moms.
And she fought tooth and nail to save. She and my father, they made this plan, and they got an FHA loan.
What?
They got an FHA loan, and they bought a house in Chula Vista. Boom, we're like the Jeffersons, man. Coming on up.
I've never heard this part.
Coming on up.
I've never heard this part.
To the west side, but we moved to the west side, so it wasn't the best part of Chula Vista still, but it was better than it was better, 1,000 times better than the projects.
Yeah.
It was so much better, man. From that moment on, I just felt safer. I felt safer in my community. I felt like I didn't have to battle every day. I didn't have to defend my little brother. My brother didn't have to defend me sometimes too. And those were struggles that were real, man, physical.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they weren't like,
you know, in the Little Rascals, I had Butch. I remember.
Yeah.
And I was scared of the Butch
Yeah.
because Butch looked like a bully.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So we had a lot of those at Smythe.
Oh, big
because that's
time.
where
I
you
went to
went,
Smythe
right?
too.
That's that's where we went to, Smythe Elementary, and
Yeah.
it's so true what you're saying, Miguel.
Right.
There was a lot of Butches there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like sometimes you're just, if you didn't conform or walk with a certain group, like you just get bullied.
Yeah.
Game on,
Big
Game
time.
on. And my brother and I don't. My mom. It was like the early '80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Late
Yeah,
70s.
yeah.
We had my brother. I don't know what. I like that. The bangs.
Oh
like
hell
the,
yeah!
the
Where they put the bowl on your head and they just kind of cut your hair.
I have to share a picture.
bull
of you guys,
head?
but I had like.
Oh,
my
man.
brother and I were both blonde. When
Were you really?
I was blonde. Yeah.
I was blonde once. Just
yeah,
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a dream.
But we had hair, shoulder length hair, blonde. My brother and I.
No way.
Yeah. So imagine two little blonde kids walking in the barrio in the hood.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, wait."
Boom.
Gateway.
Boom. Boom. Like I mean.
So you're getting rocked.
It was rough.
Oof.
Yeah.
But it made me tougher. I'm thankful for it
Absolutely.
too. It made me tougher. So when my parents got this FHA loan to purchase their home in Chula Vista, it completely improved our lives. And I remember I had a semblance of this lady who was helping them. Like I didn't really know who she was or what she did, or and I come to find out that she was a realtor, and she really helped them transition. And her name's Gretchen.
Wow.
And she used to work. Gretchen, was it Gretchen? So something with a G. I don't remember now.
Yeah.
But she worked at Macmillan.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember that.
But it stuck with me because of that lady. My life changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I always took that like, wow, like that's you can have an impact as a real estate agent. And so fast forward to my late 20s, I was transitioning from telecom, and my mother said, "Hey, you should give her a call. She could probably coach you up." So I gave her a call. And she's like, "Miguel, you'd kill it in real estate. Get into it." Yeah. So the same lady who's changed my life.
Wait, no way! I didn't know that part.
She-
I knew you were in telecom. I didn't know that the launch point had a connection to this lady.
Yeah.
Whoa! What?
Yes.
So years later,
incredible.
so you were 10 years old
Yeah.
when you guys moved out,
Yeah.
and fast forward 10 years later,
Yeah.
there you are.
Yeah. The 18 years
18.
later. So it was 28. Yeah. It was 28.
Wow,
Yeah, so
That's amazing.
18 years later.
The cool thing of her stability that she's
she
still
was
there,
still in the
right?
business, man. And I remember conversing with her on the phone, and she gave me some guidance. Hey, Miguel, save some money, have some money saved up, 6 months. It's going to be really hard. It's 100% commission. Don't bank on your deals. Your deals could fall apart, or clients could change their mind. She gave me all of the.
It's still true.
Yeah, I know. It's
Till
still
this day.
till this day. It's
still true.
But this amazing real estate agent who helped my family transition from the projects to a much better neighborhood helped me transition into the business.
That's crazy. That's so awesome.
So I just came back a week ago from a conference, and I was doing some filming out there. And one of the breakout sessions, this woman Shirley was talking about, and she was training on how like family legacy matters, and it changes with decisions and quality. And we adopt change as a way to embrace new opportunities. And one of her main kind of takeaway was that what we do is literally changing and creating new branches on family trees.
Yeah.
And that's kind of striking me when you're talking about the story about your mom and dad, kind of like it's like going at it a little bit, like, oh, we got to move out of this neighborhood, and then making this risky move with using an FHA loan, having a realtor put them in a new neighborhood, then that translating into you eventually being in the business, and then you and Beto right now, you guys have a very nice place in Bonita, and your kids are living a great life. And if you go back a generation, you look at that pivotal moment back there on that timeline. And then what does that change for the family tree and the legacy from there? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just know that if we would have stayed at Vista Terrace and Villanueva, I don't think we'd be here right now.
Yeah. There was too much temptation to try to get out in a different way.
Yes.
And it wasn't through hard work.
No.
I mean, being so close to the frontier, it kind of steers you to want to do other things that you're not supposed to be doing, you know?
Yeah.
So when I was talking about earlier, people following the herd, that's the herd that we didn't follow.
Yeah, we didn't follow
the
herd. Yeah.
We decided to take the other sacrifice approach by getting into an industry where it is commission-based, it is relationship business-based, but we didn't know. I think we grew up with creating relationships because that's who we naturally were. Right.
Yeah, I think it was creating relationships too for us. I know for me, and I think for you too, for all of us here, it's somewhat of a survival mechanism too.
Yes.
You have to survive. I had a deep understanding at a very young age because of the trouble around me and the risks and the beatings.
The beatings, yeah. Oh yeah.
I would get.
That's when it was legal.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
But I think I learned that I think I learned then. Maybe I didn't recognize it then, but as I'm thinking about it right now, I think that that origin story, so to speak. I learned there that I can't do it all by myself. I can't. I need help from people, and I can help people too. So I learned
That's so good.
So that's pretty crazy because
really
I'm pretty sure we, being that we were around the same crap, we're pretty stubborn people then.
Yeah.
Our wives had to break us down too, right?
Oh my God, my wife asked me once. She's like, "Why are you so freaking hot-headed? Like, why are you always barking? Why are you always like, rah? Like, you're like this 5'0" dude, and you're like, rah." I'm like, well, I think I'm 6'5". So,
Yeah, exactly.
no, I go, man, girl, do you know where I grew up?
Yeah.
But I had the temper that she taught me. She really, God, man, bless the woman. She's so patient. But she taught me how to slow it down. Like, hey, don't always take the bait, man. Like sometimes people are just saying stuff because they're saying stuff. It's not always an affront to you. Like, don't get hooked. Yeah. Don't take the bait. Like, you're smarter than that, Miguel. You're smart. Like, chill out.
Yeah. Wow.
And I learned that from her. She taught me that. So she's been really good.
Yeah.
I've been like, ooh.
We're definitely different people, and I owe it a lot to my wife too.
Yeah.
They how can I say?
Tanya's super patient with your ass.
No, and bro, being that he was my neighbor, trust me, his wife is really patient.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
I got you, Tanya.
They're like, there is a saying, behind a great man, there's a greater woman.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you saying that, it resonates with me because we were growing up that we're the man.
Yeah.
It's kind of caveman style. Me, boss. Right?
I'll punch you in the
boss.
mouth.
And you treat your kids like that too,
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that we kicked
got away
that.
from that.
We like booted that tradition out, bro.
Yes.
Like that's not even us. I'm like so submissive. Like, yes, honey. You know, like I see that commercial in the Budweiser commercial.
Yeah.
Yes, honey.
Yeah.
You're just avoiding conflict. Like you just don't want it.
But there is a role.
You got to flow together.
There is a role that we play, and I think, and I'm gonna segue a little bit because one of the missions I'm on right now in life, and Andy knows this, I'm on a mission to teach men that there's a different way. That there's a different way to engage your family, your spouse, your girlfriend, and that particularly in marriage, that our roles as men is not necessarily just it's not just provision. You know what I mean? It's so much. There's so many more levels to the love that we need to contribute to our household, our being, ourselves too, and our spouses. So. I think we come from a background where it's like, oh, I'm going to guard everything. I'm going to protect your neck, like Wu-Tang says, right? And punch everything.
Especially when you do jiu-jitsu.
Also a jiu-jitsu thing.
Also, protect your neck.
Walk around like this.
I need a Wu-Tang rash guard. But I think if we took a different approach, and I think we learned the hard way, but it could have easily hardened us.
Yeah.
It did sharpen our edges, but I feel that because we took a different route, we saw that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that light, if you let it really fill you up, then at the core of it is love. And if you could just lead from lead with the heart, with the loving intention and contribution, dude, everything around you just gets better and lighter and easier.
And that is so true. And I think some of that comes with age and acquiring wisdom, having losses, changing and making adjustments and making progress through some of those things. And I also know like major milestones change those things too.
Yeah.
And that could be like the potential of loss. It could be sickness or, diagnosis. It could be becoming a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations today, grandfather.
I know, that's crazy.
Could be
It's
becoming a
just nuts.
grandfather. But talk about that. Like that does kind of pivot that, like my role has changed once again.
And it has. And you saying that, these are things that you apply to your business.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
So we're talking about these things, and I know it sounds like, well, this is Friends of Mortgage Heroes, this is y'all's business, but this is what we do, our way we conduct our business. We conduct that at home.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us so great at what we do at home. So we don't put a mask on at home and then we come and put a different one at work.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
We're like that same person, bro. We like just come over here. It's like, and that's why when we talk to people on the phone, it's like, we're on the phone like, we're talking to family.
No,
like, this is how I would talk to family.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you, you can wear a mask. I mean, you can fake it.
Of course.
But eventually the cracks in the mask are
seen.
Are going to be opening up the true identity of who you are, your flaws. And also that mask could get really, really heavy.
I like that.
Really, really heavy. Right? I heard, what's the
Be a
saying?
lot to hold up just to pretend and
big
like
time.
fake your way through the life
Lot
and
of-
stuff.
It's a lot of energy wasted and just like
Of course.
pretending and
It's all posture. It's all bullcrap.
No. So it's better to leverage the good energy inside versus having to carry all this fakeness, so to speak. So
No.
authenticity.
I like your story, how you remember this agent that made your difference. That's super cool that you share that, because we all as kids have learned to something that we want to apply later in life, And so considering that story, can you share a story that resonates right now for you, that you help out a client, you're just like, hell yeah, this is why I do exactly what I do, because they're going to appreciate what you did.
Man, it's gonna be a contrarian one again here, and this is a recent prospect who called me. She saw me present. Actually, you brought her into our networking group. She saw me present.
Yes, Esther.
She saw me present, and she said, "Hey, Miguel, the presentation that you gave really resonated with me because it was so contrary to what I believe agents are."
What?
I'm like, wow, like, thank you. I think, what do you mean? She's like, well, you came at it from like a place of benevolence and contribution. And I really appreciated that. I'm like, well, thank you so much. Thanks for calling me. What can I do for you? And she said, hey, I would like for you to help me, sell and buy another house. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, those are like music to my ears. I'm like, 2 deals? Yeah, let's go. From a presentation, right? And I'm like, this is awesome. So I'm like, yeah, let's set up a time for us to have an end of the conversation. It was a good time to call. Anyways, we had the phone call. We're on the call for about, 35, 40 minutes. And I'm delving into the reasons behind the sale and the purchase. And she, without going into too much detail on her deal, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense financially. Like, you're not going to make it. Like, I go, and I asked her to call you. I think she may have called you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay, so we spoke. I know who you're talking about now.
I'm gonna do me a favor. Call William and see. Let's look at the math. So I analyzed the values of her property. It made sense. She had a bunch of equity and stuff, and I'm like, okay, we can make it happen, but let's look at the finances. Let's look at the number. I go, I'm a big fan of third grade math: addition, subtraction.
Yes. Yep.
What's the value? Simple math. So I said, hey, if William gives you the green light, I think we could pull it off. I go, but hey, man, I'm like, her father's elderly, almost 90. He's the one who's gonna get the financing. I'm like, you know what? Like, have you thought about a reverse mortgage? I don't do mortgages. I don't make money off mortgages. Right? I'm like, you might be able to just stay where you are with the reverse mortgage.
So you're not forcing them to buy or sell then.
No.
That's
I'm just consulting.
got it.
I like to sleep at
But
night
you normally force people to buy and sell though, right?
Never.
That's the assumption on the viewer side. Like, oh, you just force people to buy loans and buy homes. No.
We can't. I mean, we can't force anyone to do anything. But
Jeez.
So at the end of the day, I don't know where she is now with that, but we had a secondary conversation, and she said, "Hey, Miguel, like, you know what? I think the advice you gave me is really solid, and I'm going to explore the reverse mortgage angle because that would take so much pressure, stress, and anxiety out of my life."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Miguel, I'm going to refer you to everybody." I'm like, that's it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Great story, bro. And that's what we do,
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. I mean, I have you here, bro. I got to keep asking because it's just crazy. What's something that, Miguel, like people don't know about you and that you would say, I'm just not good at this? Because obviously we've been talking and it seems like you're good at everything.
No, I'm not good at anything. I'm not, man. I'm a scared little Vietnamese kid sometimes. There's so many things I'm not good at, man. I mean, everything that I do, I have to. I'm not naturally gifted. I'll be honest with you. The only thing that I have that I cannot explain that I have
is your pretty face.
Well, that's thanks to my mom and my dad. But,
got it.
Thank you.
I thought you were gonna rip off a short joke. I'm not good at putting the plates on the top shelf.
No,
Come
but
on, man.
this is what people's interpretation. We're always so good at everything we do, but there's things that we shy away from. They just say, "This is just." It's not going to happen.
Well, but there's complementary parts to that. Like there's stuff I'm great at that you're not, and there's stuff that you're amazing at that I just can't. I'm not even going to come close to being able to do. Likewise.
Yeah. I'm a big picture guy, but that detail stuff, like the small minutia, like getting things like, I mean, I'm good at it. I'm not great. It's not something that I'm drawn to. Like, I put a spreadsheet together. Hell yeah, my spreadsheets are awesome. But it's not a place that makes me happy. Yeah. And what I'm getting at is, I'm not naturally talented in sports, athletics, or what have you, in anything. And I've really always taken the approach of like, hey man, like you could be better. Not disparaging myself, but I'm always looking to grow. So everything that I've had or that I have as a quote unquote, talent or skill set, I work on.
Gotcha.
I work on. I really do work on that, and it's hard sometimes because you want to be better. You want to be better, faster, and just elevate. But sometimes you can't. You just gotta take your time. So I mean, the only thing I'm really good at naturally is my enthusiasm, my feeling comfortable speaking. That I've since I was a kid, I just don't shut my mouth up. So, so let me know when I need to shut up.
And that's one of the things you just want to give back, right? Because you know where you came from.
Yeah.
And you understand that there's certain things that you can do in your power by exploring options when people want to buy and they're like in the fence. Oh, I don't want to buy, or I don't want to make this move. But you know what that success will look like if they just followed your instructions. And there's times where they just say, no, Miguel. And you're just like, oh man. And then has it ever come where like 3 years later, they come like, Miguel, I regret my decision?
Yeah, a lot, because and that is a gift I have too. And I think it comes both inherently and also through learning and experiences, visualization. I'm able to see the big picture where I'm like, ooh, I know where this is going to be. From, like this neighborhood is a little wonky, but in like 3 years, this place is going to be popping.
Gotcha.
So maybe I have that I do have as a gift, where I'm able to see the bigger picture. I'm a big picture guy. I can zoom in and stuff, but I think often if we're too zoomed in all the time, we miss all this other stuff in the periphery.
Well, I know you professionally, you've built around that though too, because you have team members who like that is their thing. That is their thing,
Details.
And you can drive that direction and the trajectory, if you will, of the whole team in that way.
Thank you, Alex, if you're listening to this. You're amazing.
Alex is great.
And what I like what you're saying, it all comes with experience.
Big time.
And the cool thing about it is you're not just a realtor. You actually have the hat on as an investor.
Yes.
Because you also just don't deal with just the normal Joe and
right? No, we work with, I like to invest. You like to invest. I work with heavily with investors, so I understand that language, that capacity. I really thoroughly enjoy working in that space because it's a lot of math and it's a lot of truisms. It's not like it could be this. No. This is what it is. This is what your output's going to be, your cash flow, et cetera, et cetera. But I also take that approach with my clients, even if they're buying their first home, first condo. I'm always planting the seed. Hey, this is a path to change your life. This is a path to create wealth. And I learned that through my aunt too. My aunt Tere, who, she like clawed her. She and my uncle, my godparents are my godparents. They just clawed themselves out of the hood too. And they bought a house, they refinanced, bought another one. Then they bought a condo. And before you know it, boom, 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 they amassed this portfolio of property. And they have, here's the thing. They live a very humble life. Very humble life. But whenever any of our family members of our extended family have been in a crisis, they've been able to help.
That's awesome.
And I've always taken that approach with money. Like if the more it's a tool. So the more that you can create and it can create itself, the more that you can help others.
Absolutely.
Right?
Amen to that. No, that's super cool because earlier we were talking about before we got on the show. Andy mentioned that you're a great negotiator, and we discussed that. But you're humbly not telling me that what you negotiated. You just felt proud that you were able to negotiate the best deal for your client, your investor that you're representing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so again, you're very humble in what you do, and I love that about you. That you're very gracious on what you do. Not only that, did you help him negotiate that, but that person is looking at buying. He's an investor, but he's looking to invest in his future. He's looking to invest into creating generational wealth for his family. General contractor just felt like, hey, I'm going to buy this. He's got the plans. Let me negotiate the best. Now I'm going to go in there and build. And the beauty about that with that investor is he's building something that he's going to drive by later and say, I built that.
Legacy project, man.
You see, it goes beyond just the legacy. When your dad left you that and he built that,
built it.
How crazy is that? And then when that building's there and you drive by, you tell your kids like, hey, how cool does that feel, Miguel?
It's exciting. I mean, I get an adrenaline rush when hopefully we're collaborating with this client here. Was able to negotiate a really good deal, man. $100,000 less than it was listed for. And,
dang, that's a lot.
The property already had permits, ready to go,
ready to build,
and he knows how to build. And I get excited because to see the look in his face and to really hear the enthusiasm in his voice, because he's a doer, man. This guy builds and he's got a big vision and he's humble. And he's like, man, he's got a goal. It's his retirement. It's his retirement plan, and he lives a good life, and he wants to live a good life when he retires, and he also wants to create something for his family. A legacy, and there's something to be said that about when you build something.
Oh yeah. He may not see it that way, but I see it like that, And so, and I'm glad that you referred him to me because we're working on it. I already said I haven't met him face to face, but we're already talking. Hey, hermano, what's going on? Like family, bro.
And he's from our hood too.
There you go. So my whole goal is to help him understand how to leverage. Because he's one of those, Andy, that I'm gonna just pull in my own money.
Right.
But there's nothing better in this world to utilize your resources. And those are some of the things that as we're growing up, it's like, no, I don't want to be an inconvenience. No, I don't want to be an inconvenience. Listen, everybody, be an inconvenience. Use your resources. That's what we're there for. Right?
You're talking about this community win, like Roberto Monaco.
That's
There's the win-win-win. There's that third win where the community wins as a result, because there could be a leverage opportunity for someone else who's like, hey, I have the thing you need, and then I can help participate in that, and then I get something out of it, you get something out of it.
That's right. Well, how do we help you build that legacy faster?
No, and then there's levels to this too, because he's going into a neighborhood, that needs some beautification,
something new,
and he's going to build a beautiful property there. And I talk about creating a sense of pride for the neighborhood. The individuals who are going to live in these properties that he's building, they're going to have a
brand new place,
a brand new place.
I mean, there's something about that's what I love about real estate, because there's just so many psychological levels.
So many.
But you take someone who's renting, or even if they buy their first home, but if they're renting a solid place that's secure, that feels safe, that's aesthetically pleasing, that you look forward to going to after work, for
Yeah.
instance, from a long day, like,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
sanctuary.
Yeah.
Man, that does a lot for the mindset of the individual, and then hopefully that individual then transmits that to the people in his life or his neighborhood as well. So there's so
That's
many
crazy.
layers to this.
Emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
time.
Emotional well-being that then can carry over into all the other facets.
Big
You can
time.
personal life with your family, your work, your friendships, your community service if you're doing that, like all those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
And it goes beyond the paper. I think it's easy for us to kind of consolidate, especially on the internet. It's like, oh, well, real estate, investing, do that, flipping, buy and hold. But okay, there's so much more that happens as a ripple effect of making those choices. So upstream of the result, it's all these other things you have to do to get there, and then downstream of the result is all this other stuff that people rarely talk about unless we have these conversations,
Right.
and we really expose what has changed legacy wise because of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the craziest part. You've been here around 2008. I've been there. You've been there. We got 2023. We got our asses handed to us again, right?
tough.
And again, with simple economics, there's not enough supply of homes to go around for people, right? So real estate is still crazy. Going to experiences, almost feels like failures, right? Because 2023 just kind of went through it and like, what did we do wrong? Why is our business just diminished like that?
Yeah.
Your mindset has to come around and say, it's nothing that I did. It's just what the market happened, similar to 2008.
Yeah.
You just mentioned right now you love real estate.
Yeah.
If you can be a younger Miguel, would you choose the same path?
Yeah, yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would. I love this business. I love.
What would you do differently in that case?
Man, I would invest more.
Yeah.
I would invest way more. I mean,
Way
there's so
more
many-
and way sooner.
Man, there's so many deals
Yeah.
that I sold that I should have bought.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Tell us a little more about that. Obviously, people that are watching, again, they think everything's perfect. They think like, man, well, they already got it made.
Yeah.
But listen, we make so many mistakes along the journey.
That's true. And what's so interesting to me about doing this conversation in this format is it's easy to be an armchair quarterback in the comments.
Yeah.
It's even easier to be an armchair quarterback of your own life. Like I'm sitting in the driver's seat of my own life. I can look in that rearview mirror and I can reflect. I can dwell. I can regret. Like all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But
Well, I mean, we're going back to 2023. That was the worst year of my career.
Same.
The worst. I mean, the worst. And we're taking into account 2008, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Those were like dry years. This one was the worst. And obviously, as you analyze it, you sit there. We're sales professionals, so you're like, oh, what's going on? Do I need to make more phone calls? And what's going on? No, I'm making a bunch of phone calls. No one's taking action. Why is no one taking action? Oh, well, there's no inventory.
There's no
And
inventory.
The little inventory that's available is completely highly priced, and then with the rate environment changing, then it's prohibitive for a lot of individuals. So you start thinking, okay, cool, well, I don't have control over that. What can I control? And the one thing that I came to terms with, and I learned this through going through like those rough times in 2008, was I can only control what I think and what I feel. I have no control over anything else. So what I think and what I feel leads to what I do. So it's funny because at the beginning of this year, a little bit after New Year's Eve, I was telling my wife, like, man, that year. Excuse me, I'm sorry to curse, man.
You're good. I get it. I was saying the same.
Fuck. And she had a really good year in her business in 2020.
Wow. So she's a complete opposite.
Totally. Which is great. Our industries are inverted. So, and what she said? She's like, you know what, Miguel, you handled that really well. Like, you were so calm. How did you do that? I'm like, I cried by myself on the couch. I'm just kidding.
I went in a corner.
Yeah. No, but I had this notion, and what I kept repeating to myself as the year progressed and my deals fell apart. I mean, so many escrows that fell apart just in general,
That's got to be hard to watch, Miguel.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Miguel, I've known you since the years that I've known you. You've been like top notch.
Thank you.
When I see Miguel and I talk about Miguel, there's nothing but good things to say. Like that guy is the it. He couldn't be going through the failures that other people are going through, right?
I've been open, and I was open this year. I told 2023, I told every agent who called me, and like, hey, how's it going, Miguel? I'm like, I'm hurting. I'm failing. I'm having losses left and right. I was really open because I know that our industry, was and is going through that. So
Yeah.
why lie? Why pretend? I mean, there's no.
So you're not gonna put a facade on?
The market did
No
not
facade?
the market did not discriminate last year. Like,
No.
oh, pain for everybody. Here you go.
No,
Here's your
you know,
pain. Here's your pain.
The funny thing is that I could have lied. I could have faked it. Like, oh, everything's great. Everything's hunky dory.
Yeah.
And it would diminish both of us, because it might give that guy a sense of I'm doing the wrong things and I'm failing because I'm not good enough, and that's not the truth.
Yeah.
And number two, I know that it's a lie, and then psychologically and at the heart level, it's just it sinks you, because you're like, that's not
you're
true,
you giving that demonstration right now that's at a high level, man. Like you gotta understand that's at a high leadership level of like I was saying, like you can be licensed, but it doesn't require you to be ethical or moral. Right. But like what you're describing is like, if I'm untruthful with that person, I'm gonna be giving them the purview that they're actually not doing good.
Yeah.
And I am, even though I'm not, and it's doubly bad.
Yeah.
But you got to operate at that level.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people who don't know you are learning right now. But people who do know you, they're going to be in the comments like, oh yeah, no, that's 100% Miguel.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I just, it's just be authentic.
Yeah.
Man. Like why lie? Why be fake? I mean, it doesn't serve anyone. And really, I would say when you put up a front like that, it really, the biggest disservice is to yourself.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of weight to carry.
Oh yeah.
So
great point.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. It was difficult. I mean, listen, I go on average the last 10 years, I've done about 130 transactions. That's what I do. I'm comfortable with that. And that's my own production. Where in 2023, it was like 30.
Yeah.
It was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
What can I do to improve? And my mindset wasn't right until like towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of it. And I just had to have a breaking moment and say, okay, it's not me. I'm working 3 times as hard. Did you feel like that? Like you're working 3 times as hard, but you're not.
And no results.
And no results, right? But we had 2018. I'm going to say 2020 was a unicorn year. It was just
100%.
crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't go use a restroom without taking a phone call, right? It's like, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And then 21 was another wonderful year with us. 22 was when we saw that shrinkage of, we started seeing the difference. I felt it. It was like eerie kind of, you know, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But I remember going back to mentorships, going back to seminars, wanting to see like, where do we go? Because you got to get your mind right, you know. But it still took me about 1.5 years to get right, you know. And I'm not going to say I'm perfectly right, but one thing that you learn, and I'm sure you could attest to this, is we got to pivot.
Oh, big time! It's the art of pivot. It's, you and I talk a lot. About that. You know, like you got to be Barry Sanders.
Man.
You got to pivot.
We've way through the.
So you know, the one thing I kept repeating to myself almost as a mantra, and I think I got this. I don't know if I got this from a Buddhist text or a Stoics text, but what I kept repeating to myself after quite a few failed transactions that had nothing to do with me or my client. There's just the rate environment changed, and it just wasn't affordable for them anymore, or so just things happen. What I kept repeating was, it's not always going to be like this. It's not always going to be like this. And then I kept thinking back on Think and Grow Rich, 3 feet from gold, 3 feet from gold. And then on a third level, I kept thinking back to the beginning of the pandemic. That was a life-changing experience in the beginning of it, when we were all locked down and whatnot. And there, I got confirmation of everything. I think we all did. I got confirmation that everything is out of my control. Everything. I can't control it, so I may as well bask in it and enjoy it. So, you know, I look back at the beginning of that. You know, was that March 14th?
Yeah,
15th?
March. Yeah, March.
2020.
Yeah,
March
2020.
2020. Yep.
I look back on that, and those first 2 months leading into the summer,
crazy,
and it was nuts, but it was also beautiful, man. It was such a beautiful experience. I got closer with my family. I got to slow things down. I still was able to work and do stuff, you know, it was a beautiful realignment. I would say a realignment and a refocus on what really, really matters in life and what's really important. So I kept thinking back on that. I'm like, hey, you know what? It's slow right now. And even though I'm working my butt off, I got to figure out how to also slow it down for me too, so that I can take care of myself and take care of my family, you know, so you can have those energy stores replenish.
I had a friend at our
That's
house
crazy.
Last week, and they were talking about, I think I'm going to get my real estate license. And I was like, this is a great time to do it. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes. Because if you're going to get into the market now and you're going to do this now, you're going to not know what good is like when it's flush with cash and there's deals coming out your butt and you can't go to the restroom without your phone ringing, someone asking to do a refinance or a purchase or list their house or whatever. And you're going to do the right actions and behaviors now to generate business that if you can repeat those in the good times, it's going to be even better.
Yeah.
And that's just...
Listen, guys, I have a big grin in my face because a month ago, we got this call and my son says, Dad, Mom, I think we're having the baby. And there we go. It was like Friday, 2 a.m. Go to the hospital, and Tanya and I look at each other and we say, isn't this cool? We don't have to call a boss and tell him we're not going to go to work.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Like, it's just crazy. Right? And so I share that because there's sacrifices that we have to make.
Yes.
But we're understanding what's more important to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then this Monday, honestly, guys, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was just in my head. We were talking about earlier how you deal with stress. I guess I was stressed out, but I didn't know I'm stressed out because I just got to go with it. But I just feel fatigued, lethargic, whatever. And I go, Monday, Tanya, we went to the gym. Usually you come out of the gym, you always feel like, okay, let's go. We got this. I didn't feel that. And I just like, let's go to the pool. Let's go enjoy. Your dad's not here. Let's go to get some vitamin D. Let's get our granddaughter over here. She lives right around the corner. So then Dylan comes over, Devin with his spouse, and bro, it was the best thing.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. Being self-employed has its pros and its cons, but you're mentioning how you spend that time with the family. Yeah. And so I'm just glad that you share that side of it because it is true. Sometimes we are just so pedal, to the metal, and it's like, we got to ease off. We got to find that balance where we're just going on cruise control.
It's like harmony. Like there might be some imbalances in times, but there's can there be harmony between those two sides of working and living and working? And I'm still working on that myself too. And it's hard when we're in growth mode, number one, because we're in growth mode for certain things in the company. And there's other things where it's like, we're trying new things. Like 2 years ago, we built all this. We're like, we're going to renovate the office while they're shut down, and then we're going to build a studio, and then go try that. There's nothing for us in this beyond making our show, talking with our friends, creating content, and enjoying this experience, and kind of cataloging all these perils of wisdom, if you will.
We care too much about our community. We care too much about our families. We just want to share that.
But it's still worth doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's 100% worth
100.
doing. And again, I think this is part of the takeaway for being in real estate and being in mortgage and being, let's say, self-employed entrepreneurial is you don't always know what the outcome's going to be or when it's going to happen. No. You can't gauge. You can gauge the inputs as much as you want. You can test them. You can theorize. You can project all this other stuff. But once the results finally showing up, then you can go back and go, okay, well then what was the cause of those things, and then which ones are repeatable and which ones are not. And so there's a heavy dose of I'll say risk tolerance you have to things having to take a while before they really pan out.
Yeah. That's the coffee and Andy right now talking.
I love it. Yeah.
It's not the coffee.
You know what? The good things in life are worth the wait. They're worth the effort. They're worth the energy.
Well, and it's a great segue because I've been wanting to ask this question because I know we've had you here a long time, but
I know. Thank you, man.
Thank you for all the time.
I'm having fun.
This is great. So it's a two-parter. So here in the local market in San Diego, there are, I'll say, some legitimate concerns about real estate, and there's some legitimate opportunities. Absolutely. What would you say from your position in the field? What are you thinking about that are some of your concerns being in this industry for so long? Miguel, what's concerning you about real estate in San Diego, and what are opportunities you see in real estate in San Diego?
There's something that that no one is talking about right now, or very few individuals are talking about in the industry, and that's the notice of defaults. They've spiked up. So back in 2008, I did a lot of REO work, real estate owned foreclosures, and the NODs are up significantly. Not to the level that we had in 2008. I mean, that was insane. So I'm tracking those. I do BPOs, and I've been registered with platforms since 2008 for BPO work. And for our audience who doesn't know, BPO is like an appraisal for a property that's in distress that received a notice of default and might go into a trustee sale foreclosure. So up until up until the beginning of not the beginning, summer of 2023, last year, about a year, almost a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've been doing BPOs like
Wow.
not a ton of volume, but like 1 to 4
A month?
A month, a week.
It's averaging about every 6 weeks or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
they're up, and we're talking about neighborhoods that are nice neighborhoods like the Bonitas of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And I've been trying to analyze like what's really going on, and initially I thought, well, this is gonna be people who bought in 2020, they bought too much house. 2022, they overspent, they overshot. No,
It's not that.
No.
Interesting.
No. These mortgages are seasoned, man.
Wow.
Like
Really?
7 years plus. I'm like,
Jesus.
what's going on? So I'm thinking, okay, this is a marker of greater things to come or bigger things to come in the economy. So I'm thinking, and I have no way to prove this. I'm just estimating,
Theorizing,
based on my experience in the business and just the history of the market. I'm thinking it's either loss of job. There's been a lot of layoffs, loss of job, loss of spouses, divorces.
Yeah.
Divorces are up big time, man. So, and that's another marker, divorce sales, big time. So those are two markers that I'm looking at where I think there's going to be a shift, maybe an inventory. Granted, I don't believe that these NODs are going to eventually manifest as foreclosures. There's just too much equity in it.
They'll end up on the market before they'll end up being
on the
foreclosed.
market as a distress sale.
Yeah.
So I don't, and I think because what we saw in 2008, 2009, I think people are going to try to negotiate, renegotiate
Their terms.
their terms and whatnot. So I don't know if these things will manifest on market until probably 2020, end of 2025 ish, maybe around there.
That's a pretty long
because
lead time.
the time scale. So
Correct.
I'm thinking like 2023. It takes about 2 years for these to go on market. So maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more of a sprinkling of inventory on the market.
Wow. Okay.
That's just something nobody's talking about right now. But I'm kind of a geek and
You're
curious.
kind of like one eye on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, what would you? So then, the contrary. What are some of the opportunities you see for real estate here in San Diego?
I think an opportunity, and specifically to that, I would say there's deals to be had in the creative finance space. Sub 2 deals. Helping people in situations like that. I think that's a huge play. A lot of people don't know what sub 2 is. Read a book, go to YouTube, stay on YouTube.
Call Memo.
Memo knows sub 2.
I bought 2 properties like that, which is crazy.
It's fantastic. So I think there's going to be a big opportunity in creative finance for purchase. Additionally, we have a deal right now. We're excited because it's our first VA where our buyer's assuming the loan.
Nice.
Oh, you're doing a VA assumption.
Yes.
Wow, good for you.
It's the first one that we're
That's
really,
great.
We're really pumped. I think the rate's at 3.5, man, and the buyer's coming in with
the difference,
$40,000.
Oh,
okay. So they recently bought that one, and that's why they're able to assume that one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's
3.5.
That's great. And I think another area of opportunity in San Diego for a business segment. Again, I like to look at different angles.
Of course.
We'll do the everyday, first time buyer, first time investor, upgrade your house, downsize, whatever. But board and care facilities.
Boarding care, yeah. You know what? You're the second. Okay, I didn't know you were going to say that. Yeah. That's the second time I've heard this month.
Yeah.
Someone else was already talking about that for just the volume of people entering into that need is like astronomical. I don't know. I don't remember the number.
The
so
population numbers.
That's why I'm
there.
hesitating.
Yeah, we have the baby boomers, right? They're the ones
there.
that are going to start requiring all this.
Sure.
Our
I'm not
biggest
saying the number
population.
because I don't remember what they had
gotcha.
told me,
So
but I
of
was like,
course.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, we're selling our second one in the.
Wow, really?
Our last. It's been 6 weeks. So in the last 6 weeks, we're doing our second board and care.
Is there a lot here? I mean, I know I see some
Yeah.
here in
You know
San Diego,
what?
but I know there's some that it's the house down there. And there's 5 rooms, and you don't know that that's what it is, but that's what it is.
That's a big business, and it's a whole nother.
And they're not all commercial.
They're
not all commercial
They're mostly
deals.
residential. Yeah, a lot of them are residential. There's big volume in that. So there's opportunities there.
Wow.
Yeah. And the ADUs, right?
Oh, ADUs are huge.
That's like the gold rush back in the day.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think if you can convert, the easy one is convert your garage, have it make money for you.
Why not?
I've got a really good buddy of mine who lives down the street here. He converted his garage. I think it cost him $50,000.
Yeah, 65,000.
$50,000 to do his garage. He rents it for $1,800.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
$1,800. His mortgage is $1,800.
You know,
I want one of those. Where do I get one of those $1,800 a month mortgages, guys?
you know, I try to talk to people about that, and I tell them like, listen, what are you using your garage for? It's just storage.
Yeah, I know.
It just stores your car, and you know, and most of the time you have it dirty anyways.
Yeah.
Just keep it outside. You get rain. As much rain we've been getting,
You're the exception to the rule.
it washes, right?
Ken, thank you for always washing our cars.
Yeah. You know, just get it cleaned and make some money right there. And, you know, and so it's like, yeah, I don't get it. It's so easy. And I think that's for me in San Diego, because of our density here, build it.
Oh, yeah.
Use every space you can.
The
Use
demand's
it.
there. The demand is there.
God.
Oh, and the cities and counties counties just really loosened up the restrictions for it. So you know, there's a demand, there's a need for it too. We need more units, more doors to
absolutely.
rent. You know, hence why I think we have a big we have a big homelessness problem too. We don't have enough units for everybody.
course.
So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot behind that door.
Oh, I know, we're not gonna go there.
Yeah.
There's a lot behind that door, but demand is certainly there, and there's a lot of need. I mean, we had a guest on the show last week who was a traveling nurse turned real estate investor and real estate agent, and he was saying that he has a property here in San Diego, and he rents out to traveling nurses who come here to San Diego to fill gaps at the hospitals and at these medical offices where they just have to pull somebody, and you know, he's making thousands of dollars a month because their per diem, or not their per diem, their monthly basically stipend for housing is cost adjusted for San Diego.
Yeah, and we've had clients transition from your typical, you know, Airbnb short-term rental to midterm rental, and specifically traveling nurses. That's a huge,
well, there you go.
Huge segment, and they pay a premium too for rents.
I learned that like live in the show. I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was like that. Okay.
Yeah. Also,
where do I go get one of those too? I got to go do that myself.
Also, construction workers, construction crews that are coming from LA or Imperial Valley, or even
that's a good point.
from other states as well.
That's a great point.
That's another big segment too.
That's crazy. That's true. Very true.
So then, like that corporate housing kind of conversation.
Yeah. It's all midterm, but there's definitely a need, and there aren't enough units to fulfill that need.
Well,
either,
what's crazy about this guy Ian, who we're talking about earlier, he actually quit his nursing job to do real estate instead.
Yeah,
yeah,
because he found the opportunity, right? Like, well, wait a minute, I have to buy this property, and then if I do, and I put these traveling nurses in there because I know that know-how, and now I could supplement my income that way, and I don't have to be, you know, at a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah,
well, why not?
I love hearing stories like that. I love that.
Well, I tell you guys, this has been phenomenal. Going back from the roots. I mean, we went all the way back.
You went to the back.
We, you know what? We actually gave you our ages here.
I know.
So we broke it out.
Everyone who's 50 or older, raise your hand.
Yeah. And I'd love to stay, you know, talking more, but I'm sure you had got things you got going on your day. What I would like to ask is there something we didn't ask you that you feel we should have asked?
Wow, that's a great question. Yes. Question.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got a few.
Okay, go for it, man.
Let's see.
Tables have turned.
The tables have turned. I want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your biggest complaint about your typical real estate agent?
Oh, I have an answer already.
Let's go.
The biggest complaint I have about a typical realtor is being asked to control things that are outside of our control.
Yeah.
That's it. And and it really is that, because like we both know this is out of my control, but you're telling me to go control something I can't, and you know I can't, but we're still having this like tango. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
That's mine.
Well, it's like, and it's so true, Andy. You bring up a great point, because we can't control the appraisals, right? You have to go through an AMC. And
but why isn't it done already?
And if the value's not there, right? If the value's not there, we have to try to go renegotiate that. But everything's put on us on our end. Like it was our fault, but it's like, it's not. It like the appraisers picked on a red robin, and then they go, and sometimes the agent will call us like, that guy lives in LA. What is he doing an appraisal here in San Diego? Hey, I'm so true, Miguel. That happens, but like I don't choose them.
No.
You know, it's not vetted by us. Yeah. But that's the biggest complaint is always going to be is not closing things on time.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't realize is there's so many people, so many hands are in the cookie jar that we could only control well, you're able to control.
Yeah.
One thing I do take pride on is making sure that I don't encounter those situations. Yeah. So we proactively work to avoid that. Yeah. And one of the things we do as soon as escrow is open, like let's request that appraisal right away. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like having in the investment world, having your LOI, your letter of intent. Have that up front. Have your transparency up front. Are you taking it or leaving it? Yeah. You know, and if you're taking it, we're requesting the appraisal. That's it. Let's go.
I think one of the things that over the course of the years that's really changed is that, you know, with real estate and mortgages, and I'm going to use an analogy of the X-Men movies. You guys are familiar with the X-Men movies.
You do look like the professor.
Not just because I look like Professor
X.
No, side note, like in Brian's phone upstairs, my name is Professor X.
I love it.
So here's the thing is, you know, he kind of coordinates where all the X-Men have to go. And at some point in this industry, that became the loan officer's job, or at least the loan team's job, just as much as it was the realtor's job. Because realtors got to coordinate buyers, escrow, inspector, access for the appraiser, any repairs that got to be done, all that stuff. And then there's like another Professor X on the loan side. We got to get the insurance. Oh, and also we have to talk about the appraisal. Oh, and underwriting. Oh, and this and that. And so you have to play this like masterful coordination effort of all the people involved, and they're not as easily to point in a direction as the X-Men are. And so people have this idea that, oh, you're just Professor X. You go just tell everyone where to go to and what to do. Like, it's not exactly like that, because that's not the only deal they're working on. So it is a very delicate situation a lot of times.
And just like you mentioned earlier, Miguel, you put your heart into it, and you mentioned that you cared what people thought about you. Yeah. And despite you saying it doesn't bother you now, I know it bothers you now, because you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Big time.
You know, and we're here to make sure that we exceed not only the buyer's expectations, because we're representing them, you know, but we want to make sure that we exceed the listing agent's expectation, because they're the ones that accepted our offer. So they believed in us. Yeah. And when they believe in me, I have nothing but my fiduciary duty to comply with what they would like meeting the contractual timelines. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we're all happy. Yeah. Escrow's trusting in us, title. I just want to make sure we're all in communication, you know? So I think communication in anything in life is key.
Especially when things are rough or not going the way they're supposed to be.
That's right.
Going, you know, like, hey, you better make that, don't delay. Make that call now.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking that question. Thank you. We never had one turned on us.
Welcome to Friends of Mortgage with your host, Miguel.
We'll see you next week.
Well, Miguel, this has been such a pleasure having you here. Thank you for dedicating so much time for us today.
Pleasure.
I know we're going to end up having you back again, so we can talk about more.
Whenever you guys want me, man.
We really went into like so much of the backstory. I think that's really critical for people to understand. And we've had a lot of different variety of topics. You know, a couple weeks ago we had Jason Turner on here, and Jason was talking about bankruptcy and real estate, and also, you know, Jason handles a lot of tenant landlord law stuff as well. I know he's
phenomenal.
Helped you, and he's phenomenal. You know how good he is. And then we've had you know, investors, and we have people who do architectural and ADU. So we have like this wide variety. So I'm glad that you could come in today and talk about being such a long tenured, I'll say, anchor in the community, because you've been here the whole time. You've been serving this neighborhood and this community the whole time. So I'm glad we're able to kind of like amplify you a little bit, and then get some more of those stories, and really let the audience kind of know more about you. We know you really well. I want everyone else to know you really well too. So I hope this has been valuable to you. Thank you.
It has. It's been a tremendous joy to be here with you guys.
You know, I like that you say amplified, and we don't mean that in the sense that we're just amplifying it. These are the facts. Right? Yeah. So I want to tell our audience, like, those are the facts. We're not making it like that. Like when I heard the amplified, to me is like we're trying to boost. There's no boost in the truth. Like this is what you are. This is what you do for the community. So I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And one of the when I say that, it's like one of my favorite quotes from Theodore Roosevelt is, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care."
That's right.
Yep.
You know, and I think you go by that as well.
I care.
And so you do. We're the Care Bears, and we were watching that cartoon.
Care Bears.
Care Bear power.
Well,
so no, thank you so much. Hey, Miguel, if people want to know and they have these other questions, because I mean, not only are you good in jiu-jitsu, real estate, investing, I mean, you know how to freaking put people in good chokeholds, right? So if they need a good advice right there. Where can they find you? How do they contact you?
Oh man, the best way to contact me directly is just go to my website. Rain West Collective, REIG and not RAIN.
That kind of rain.
Yeah, or my Instagram too. You could Miguelito Migs.
Miguelito Migs.
Miguelito
We'll tag that in the description.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Memo, thank you so much for
you,
being
guys.
here on the show with me today. Miguel, thank you so much for coming and being our guest. I'm really excited for everyone to get to know you a little better or a lot better. So,
Thanks.
and everyone who's watching Friends of Mortgage Shows, thank you once again for tuning in, where we interview and talk with our friends in and around real estate and explore more about what's going well and opportunities in mortgage and real estate for you to win in life and succeed in business and your personal endeavors. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and forward this to a friend who would be interested in this conversation we had. And then Will, myself, Brian, maybe, and another guest will be back next week for another great show.
That's it.
All right.
And, new kids on the block. Give them some kudos here.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.
Take care.
See ya.